Morning guys, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to change chords. So you'll have seen, hopefully, in my previous videos where we've talked about how to hold the guitar, how to hold the plectrum, and how to play open chords and how to play bar chords. But the bane of many a beginner guitarist's life is actually how to change chords. Because of course it's all very well being able to play chords one at a time, but in order to play songs, we have to be able to change them quickly, efficiently and smoothly. So today we're going to look about how to do that. If you're new here, my name's Chris, and on this channel we cover technical tutorials on guitar, bass and drums. We look at reviews of the gear that I use and generally follow my life and adventures as a professional music teacher and musician. So if that sounds good to you and you like anything that you see, please like the videos and subscribe to the channel because more similar content will be following. Right, let's get into it. So, chords. How do we change them? Because when you've got a song, you're strumming along, we need to be able to change smoothly and quickly from one chord to the next. Right, so a couple of things we need to talk about. First of all, let's for example look at the change from A minor to E minor. We're going to use this to illustrate how important it is to look at what fingers of your fretting hand, which for right-handed people is your left hand, what fingers of your fretting hand you use for the chord. So, if we look at this transition from A minor to E minor, there are actually two ways that we could do it. We're going to play our A minor with our first finger, second finger and third finger, as per the diagram. But then if I want to go to E minor, I could do it one of two ways. I could take my second and third finger and move them to make the E minor like that with my second and third finger. So there what we're doing is we're moving them as a block, not one at a time, but as a block. So that would go like this, and then as a block there. And that works. But the other thing we might do is you might think, okay, what fingers have I got that could be common between both chords? What if we were to play the E minor instead of with our second and third fingers, but with our first and second fingers, as per this diagram? What that would mean then is that our second finger, which is here on the D string, stays in the same place, put the E minor on, and yet slide it up a bit to get it up to the frets, but essentially we're pivoting around that. And that might be more secure than taking everything off and moving it that way. Which is right? Well, they both are, to be honest. But which would you find easier? That or that? Now, actually, what if our chord sequence then required us to play a G? So A minor, E minor, G. Well, if I've gone A minor and then pivoted round my second finger, my common finger between chords, there, then that means my first finger of the E minor can be a common finger between that and the G. So we've got a common second finger between those two, A minor and E minor, then a common first finger, which we just slide up slightly to get the G in the right place. So that gives us a security. We walk across the guitar. Otherwise, I'd be doing this, and then I would either have to take everything off to make the G with the second, third and fourth, so with the second, first and third fingers, or I'd have to do the G with my second, third and fourth, which is perhaps a little bit more awkward. So the point we're making here is that you don't have to only do it one way. Depending on the sequence that you're trying to navigate and negotiate your way through, it might be easier to use a particular combination of fingers. But I always like to try and find, personally, where I've got fingers that are the same between chords. So A minor to E minor, second finger, for example, E minor to G, first finger. So what if we wanted to go from C to G? Well, C we play like this, 3, 2, 1. I could do G like that, but that's a big change. So these two fingers here, second and third, can hop up there, fourth finger there. Doesn't matter once you can actually do it because both are equally quick. But when you're starting, it pays to get as many similarities between chords as possible. Yeah, there's no common fingers between C and G, but that certainly is a little bit smoother. What about C to F? Well, something I often get my students to practice when they're learning to play bar chords and learning to change into them is look at C. My third finger is there, third finger A string. Keep it down, put the rest of F on, take the F off, go back to C. Instead of lifting it up and replacing it, and lifting it up and replacing it, that's something that people struggle with to start off with, but try to keep any fingers that are shared between chords actually touching the frets, as it provides a pivot and stability. Sometimes there won't be any. So if I'm going C to D, everything's different and you have to move it. Sometimes that will be the case, but rule number one, wherever there are common fingers or shared fingers from one chord to the next, try to keep them down and try to strategize your way through a chord sequence where there are alternatives that mean you can do that to make it as easy and smooth as you possibly can. Okay, so that's the first thing. So we've got the hang of doing that, but it will still take you time to begin with. The idea is we have to keep our right hand or our strumming hand moving in order to make our chord changes quick. So if we take the example of A minor to E minor, here's what I want you to practice. If you're finding it difficult to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and back again without stopping, what you can do is you can just play 1, 2, 3, nothing on the 4, 1, 2, 3, silent 4, 1, 2, 3, silent fourth beat to change. So the pulse is still going, 1, 2, 3, and I can still keep my hand moving. For my down strums, 1, 2, 3, change, buying myself some time. See? Might even be that you need a little bit longer, so you could go 1, 2, 3, 4 while I change, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The key is though that we keep the pulse going. You could use a metronome, set it to a nice slow speed, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep your strumming hand moving so we don't have a break in the continuity of the beat. 1, not like this, 3, 4, stop for ages, the beat has stopped. 1, 2, 3, 4, yawning pause while we change. Let's try and keep the beat going. Keep your strumming hand moving, but miss some out. 1, 2, 3, 4 if you need time, and then eventually you'll be able to do all 4 strums of each chord. 4 strums per bar. The aim is to do the whole bar, keeping the pace, dropping out the last strums. Okay, so firstly, common fingers between chords, plan the best approach for what fingers you use for chords. There's no right or wrong answer as long as it's smooth and straightforward for you. Secondly, to change the chords, we keep the tempo moving, keep the pulse going, and drop the last strums of a bar. 1, 2, 3, miss that strum, and change rather than hit it. So eventually you'll be doing all 4, or you could do 2 bars of each chord. It gives you time to settle. The point is, it's practice, keep at it, and you will do it. Now, what about if we were doing a bit more of a complicated strum? Doesn't give us much time to change at the end, and I haven't done my video on eighth note strumming yet. When I do, I will link to it. But what we can do is, we can actually lift the chord up early. So we're strumming some open strings. Just giving myself time to put the next chord on. One, instead of 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and big gap, 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and we want to keep counting 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and, but because that's a small window to change, let's lift the chord early, strum a few open strings, yeah, sure, but then we land on the 1 with the next chord. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's actually a characteristic sound of the guitar, the transitional open strings between chords. You will often hear it. Now on their own, obviously open strings don't sound like much, but as we do the change, they actually do. So, short one today though, but that's basically what we're talking about. So, common fingers between chords. Keep your right hand going with basic down strums and miss the last ones out to give you time to change the chord. And finally, if you've got a faster strum, you can always lift the chord early. So we have a couple of open strings strummed before you land on the next chord. Ultimately though, it's practice. But what I always say to people is let's force your left hand or fretting hand to make the change. Don't sit there for ages letting it be perfect, okay? Keep the pulse going, and if you don't land it quite right, it doesn't matter. You keep the tempo going. That way your left hand will kind of tell itself it needs to keep up. Okay, so hopefully that's been useful. At the end of the day, I'm going to put this on the playlist for introductory guitar tuition videos. If you've got any questions, please ask me in the comments, and I'll try and interact with as many people as possible. And that's it for now, guys. So if you like the video and you like the sound of what we do on the channel, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you all very soon for the next one. Thanks very much for watching. Appreciate the support. Cheers now. Bye.